Welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review. The second of the two Mongrel rounds has come. It has gone some fantastic football. We were privy to over these two rounds and cannot wait. And coming back for the first time in a little bit, I have not had him on the show. Half of the Steez and Don YouTube channel. We have Steez joining us. Steez, it is so great to see you, sir. And conveniently, I get you on episodes when your beloved Blues are 2-0 in their last two games of under their caretaker coach.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's always a pleasure to be able to come up here and talk footy with you, man. Like-minded, passionate fans, and yeah, Blues, man. They have a way of sucking me in, man. Unfortunately, obviously they take you on a ride, man. But as of now, we're playing pretty good, man. It's exciting.
Yep. It's great. It's great to see again. I feel for Coach Voss because I think he did so much. And again, you're going to get the caretaker coach bounce as fantastic. So I want to hop right into this really, really quickly. I talked to
Yeah,
Steve's pre-mics, but I want to do this personally is that I had the luxury of seeing a lot of Neil Danaher. And again, to all those Australia that are seeing this, unfortunately, the unfortunate passing of Neil Danaher again. Vale Neal, again, an incredible human being, an Australian of the Year, fought the beast that is MND for as long as he did. It was such an incredible fight. We will
yeah,
miss him. It is a sad day in the footy community when I found out that story again. So again, Vale Neal
for
Danaher.
sure.
So let's hop right into it. So again, it is not easy to transition from that, but the one thing that Neil loved was the footy. Let's hop right
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Round 11 has come. It has gone. Steve, as a whole, sir, tell me what your thoughts of this round was because we were delightfully given some fantastic footy, some incredibly interesting results that I cannot wait to talk with you about.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the exact same way that you were just speaking of. Um, what really stood out to me though is how this week in particular, I really noticed how the teams who've been like more so at the bottom of the ladder, you're just starting to see like the improvement of them, and it's good to see the growth of teams that are really just young in age, and we're getting trampled on. And, this can be a rough sport to be a underdeveloped club and just are just short on talent or in a rebuilding phase. And I don't know, it's good to see the fruits of the labor from some of these younger teams this week, being able to sneak some wins out.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Some absolute crackers. Cannot wait. So let's start off. We will hop down to Launceston, down at Utah Stadium, where the Hawks get a win at their kind of home away from home a little bit down in Tassie.
Right, right,
Unfortunately,
right.
not so much as we go on with the Tassie Devils soon to come in. And the best part is they're starting to play VFL football, so it's fantastic to be able to talk
Yeah,
about that. But Hawks get a 9-point win over the Crows, 75-66. I mean, let's be honest. This is a great game of footy to watch. No, uh, but a cracking game. And again, questions on both sides. Hawthorn, they finally got their mojo back a little bit after losing Tommy Barras, but a Crows team that is just right now underperforming
yeah,
and missing Tex Walker, which is crazy because in the
yeah,
Sandful, I think he might have won Sandful Goal of the Year and Mark of the Year. And one,
yeah,
I can't wait to talk with my Sandful guys because Tex Walker comes in and absolutely has a blinder for the Sandful side, but
yeah,
unfortunately, the men's side on the AFL fell a little bit short this round.
yeah. So, yeah, this game, it's weird that we say that because Texas is missing, but Hawks are really missing a lot of players too over there,
This is
especially in the
true.
forward line.
Yep.
They've been a little short. But I've been saying since the beginning of the season, they kind of got an embarrassment of riches up there, especially to be having Gunston play the way he's playing the last 2 years in particular. Is
Yep.
definitely there's not a player that they have that's replaceable just from one player like for like. But I do like what Blake Hardwick brought. He's
Yep.
like a versatile player, and he's held his own up there for, especially in this game in particular.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
but overall, my thoughts on the game, like I can't help but notice, and I think it's undeniable that Hawks and Adelaide as a whole, over the last couple of years, have had what we would call the entertaining style of footy.
Hmm.
And I had the pleasure of being able to watch them for the last couple of years. But I thought this one was kind of disappointing, like you were saying, um, just from the youth perspective and just not living up to be what it could be. But I also had the same thoughts about one of the few matches that they had last season as well. So I wonder what it is about these two teams in particular that aren't really able to put their best feet forward.
Hmm.
And it's kind of puzzling to me.
Well, some of the naysayers are going to say, well, it's down in Tassie. Why is it at Tassie? Why isn't this one at the MCG where you can kind of get the little bit better skills? Plus, unfortunately, with the construction at Utah Stadium
Yeah,
is you don't get the visual of all the fans around. So
that's true.
visually, was it stunning? No. Um, you can kind of tell it's a little bit cold. It's a colder night. What was the
Yeah,
effectiveness with footy in hand a little bit lackluster? Absolutely. But as you said, we have some injuries on both sides. I know Adelaide's fighting with some injuries with some of their top 22. They get a few back, but it seems like when a
yep,
couple soldiers come in,
yeah,
two more go down. I
yep,
know in this game, unfortunately, both Rankin and Achi both had injury issues at the end of it too. And as
yep.
you said, the Hawks still haven't fully been 100% because Will Day still hasn't come
He
back.
hasn't even
So,
been back.
but
Yeah,
the good part is VFL, he got through the entire game. I think he had 27 disposals. Actually did fantastic. So would not be
that's
surprised if he is in this particular
good.
week after getting through his first VFL
Yeah,
VFL play. So Barras still being out. They fought some injuries themselves. I think Gunston didn't play as well in this one, which I think is a smart decision. I wouldn't have played him even if he was healthy because of the cold that is Tassie. So not was this the best possible game when it comes to matchups? No, it wasn't. But here's the thing. The 4 points go to the Hawks, the Crows.
yep,
If I'm a Crows fan, and you could tell there's some frustration growing because
for
again,
sure.
top of the ladder last year, fantastic season. It might have been a little bit to the fixturing a little bit because they've had a little bit of a tougher fixture this year, and it's starting to wear on them. And now you lose Rankin. Achi may be going down again, so we'll have to see how do they bounce with that. Probably you'll see Tex come back in, which would be fantastic for the Crows again. I think he really is a great link up player for them. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping both teams can find a way to bounce off of
I
this
can
again.
too.
The Hawks they're super talented. They're very good. I think they're having to get through this rough patch in the middle of the season, which
Yeah,
sometimes is not a bad thing because it tests you. It brings
definitely.
out resilience, which I think could be really good come around 18, 19, 20 as you build your way to a finals campaign, which I think
Sure.
for this Hawthorn team, everybody's looking forward to is potentially a top six, maybe even top four side going in the future. So let's go to Dream Time. Friday Night Footy, I will 100% raise my hand. I've talked with a few friends of mine. This was not one that I wanted to sit down and watch because unfortunately, both teams right now are just not playing the footy that they want to play.
Yeah,
Richmond, let's be honest. I mean, if you can kick straight, you might get a chance to get a call up and play for the Richmond Tigers because their list is absolutely decimated with injury.
for
And then
sure.
with Essendon, they've just not been good. And we'll discuss right after this too is a little bit of news that just broke just before this podcast going, as the coach that started this game is now no longer employed, as unfortunately Coach Scott has been sacked by the Essendon Footy Club. But and I think a little bit of the reason that he got sacked is because of the result as the Richmond Tigers get a win by 18, 74-56. I'm so happy for the Tigers, okay? Because
Yeah,
they have absolutely been decimated with injury. I mean, their injury list total last time I went, I swear, like I have to roll my computer mouse at least a
every
couple
time,
times to get
every
all the way
time,
through
every time.
all of their injuries. I think the last time they checked is they have 26 guys
That's
healthy,
ridiculous.
and they have to pick 23. So there's only three guys that are healthy that aren't
Yeah.
playing.
Right.
And they can't get Josh Smiley healthy. There's so many guys have been in and out of injury this entire season. So I'm happy for Uze to get a win. It's fantastic. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it comes at the hands of an Essendon side that, again, they have been the bane of this entire existence this year is because they've been kicked and kicked and kicked. And unfortunately, they finally said uncle and they let go of Coach Scott there earlier today.
Yeah. So I want to be fair to Essendon, and that kind of sounds bad being a Carlton man and all that. I don't want to be fair to either Richmond or Essendon, naturally. Uh, but Essendon, we were just speaking about injuries and Richmond being injured, but during the match, Essendon was going down with
Yep.
carnage, man. Like McGrath got
Guelphy
a
goes
broken
down,
jaw.
Durham goes down.
Yep.
I
Uh,
think there was two others that all went down in this game. Let
yeah,
me see if I
it
can
was
let me see if I can
McGrath.
pull it up because I know
Guelphy had
there's
a
at least
hamstring.
three.
Yeah, Guelphy had a hamstring.
Yep.
Durham had a concussion. McGrath broke his jaw, and I
Yep.
think Reed Was it Reed that went to the hospital for some ribs or something like that? It was
Yeah,
rough, man.
I think it was either that or prior. One of them, well, they left after because there was a
Yeah,
couple. There's a couple that went to the hospital after the game, as they got through the game, but
exactly.
actually left
Yeah.
during it. So
So
it was absolute carnage for Essendon.
it
So
was.
I'm kind of not surprised with the result,
Right. It's
but
I think
yeah.
it's one thing to be able to have like build the best 22 or the best 23 off
Yeah.
of a list with all the injuries, but to be able to adjust in game while they happen in game is such a much tougher task to be able to overcome. But yeah, it was kind of the game that you would expect. The one thing I do have respect for is Richmond's effort. You can see that
Hmm.
the talent's kind of lacking, and it, even not just this year, but over the past couple years or whatever the case is, they still you can see the brand that they're trying to build, and you see the tough effort, and they don't give up, and it'll reward you against teams that are just not quite ready for you, like the Essendons of the world. But those wins do end up building confidence for the younger players and stuff like that to build the team chemistry. And so I do think it was a good win for Richmond. Um, they could have beat us. They probably deserved to beat us because at the end of the game, round one against Carlton, they gave it a crack, and really ultimately kicking straight is what messed them up, like you were just talking about earlier. But yeah, I
Hmm.
do respect Richmond a little bit more to Essendon, and a good win for them boys for sure.
Yeah, no, it was this is I when I watched it back, I mean, and again, I was worried about this game being just absolutely disgustingly ugly because unfortunately,
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was last year that these same two teams gave to the point where I think I was listening to a Triple M call and they were like, "Can any of these guys kick straight?" Like it was almost comical, really, how much they really got on this. But I'm 100% like the one thing that you have to give both teams is the effort was there. They were fighting through everything. Like I said, Essendon, I mean, by the end, I think they only really had one person on the bench that was truly healthy. So
right.
it's difficult to get a win in that. And again, this Richmond teams, they keep fighting through. I respect what Uze is doing. I know it's not easy with everything that he's had to deal with over the first two seasons that he's had there. So again, I
Yeah,
tip my cap to Coach Uze on this, getting a win. It's
yeah,
fantastic. It sucks that it ended up. I think it was probably the proverbial cherry on top of the ice cream cake that was Coach Scott's time with Essendon. So it'll be fascinating to see who's the caretaker coach, what's their process, do they hire somebody soon, or do they wait to the end of the season? It'll be interesting to see how that goes, considering there's still, I mean, we're only going into round 12. We got to get through 20, we still got half a season left to go.
you
We
do.
already have two caretaker coaches on in the coaches boxes. So let's hop down to the one that I sat down, was super excited to watch this one. The result may not have been exactly what I wanted to, but it really shows how good Wallulup or Fremantle are as they get a 30-point win, 104-74, continuing the win streak. Wharfy time, I don't know what it is, but I am loving this Fremantle side because they don't just win it one way. They win it ugly. They'll win it pretty. They'll win it gritty. They'll win it every
Yeah,
way you could possibly can. They have done it. Have they been impressive this year? No. There have been a few games I think they've kept opponents in because of some things. But right now, how do you stop a miss Tracy? This forward line is incredible. Frederick has gone up
Patrick
on the
Voss.
wing and looked exactly. Patrick Voss, Murphy Reed has looked fantastic. Shea Bolton has went through the center and looked really, really good. They didn't have Brayshaw in this game, so I mean, it's just absolutely insane that when Fremantle needs somebody to step up, somebody does. So it's incredibly good to watch this. St. Kilda, they ran into a buzzsaw in this one. Like, I'll just be 100% honest. Fremantle was just too good. This is a good St. Kilda side, but no Wanganeen Millera really hurts them, and it
Definitely,
really showed in this particular
100%.
result.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. They ran everything it felt like through Wanganeen Miller last year, and yeah, he's just easily quite clearly the best player on that team. So without having him, it definitely hurts. But I think even with him, Frio is definitely good enough to get it done. I struggle with giving him the credit because I had just have a little bit of disdain for Frio and a little bit of bias there. But now, I mean, you can't deny it that they're pretty well balanced. Their fours like that you named, Patrick Voss, Jai Amos, and
Mhm. Josh
Josh Tracy,
Tracy.
who's like a vice grip. He's contested mark beast. Um, it's just it's hard to stop, man. They won this last game without Caleb Strong, and he's probably their best midfielder as well. So it's not like Frio was just fully healthy, just beating up on St. Kilda. But I think Saints just have quite to. They were one of the ones that everybody was watching over the offseason, given the money that they spent to these key players, and I don't think that Saints they've quite lived up to the expectations that some people may have had for them.
Mhm.
But yeah, like this game was a pretty good game. I think this game overlapped with the Dreamtime game, if I'm
It
not
was.
mistaken, right?
Yep. Yep. The dream time started just a little bit earlier because of being out west. So, but
Yeah.
I ended up waking up and just watching this Fremantle St. Kilda game. I thought it was a cracker again. The final result was a little bit more lopsided than I thought it would be because for me a little bit, I think the reason so many people talked about St. Kilda and I think you'll get this reference a little bit, Steez, is they played Yankee. They kind of tried to play Yankee footy
Yeah.
that they just pay for all the best players. Again,
Yeah.
are they the New York Yankees when it comes to prestige? No. But that's
No.
kind of what their
No,
offseason
not
was.
even close.
Hey, Sam DeConing, here's a bunch of cash. Hey, Jack Silvani, here's a bunch of cash. So like that's the thing. Like they there's multiple ways to build a team. And we'll get to see whose way is better. Do you do it through the draft? Do you do it through free agency? Do you do it through kind of a combination of both? It all just kind of depends. So for St. Kilda, it really has been let's throw some money at some big free agents and let's see how it
Yeah.
goes. Is it working? Jury's still out for me because right now
Yeah,
there are
for
games
sure.
it's looked fantastic, and then there's games not so much. So we'll have to see. It is definitely one that's got me intrigued to see how this Saints side goes. But frustrating one about Fremantle, they're just so good that it was one of the reasons I know I'm not the only one that
Yeah.
pegged them as a grand final contender this year. And right now that's making that prediction
Yeah.
look really nice right now. Fremantle in a grand
Yeah.
final is looking quite well. Let's jump to Marvel Stadium where we see the stunner of this one of two stunners of this round. I can't just say the only one because there's actually two. And I'll sit here and say this: if you stop the game at halftime and you tell the person the result, they probably are going to look at you like you are on drugs. Because if you look at the halftime score and you look at the full-time score, you would not believe it. As North Melbourne get the win 111-105, but the halftime score is saying the Suns were up like 35 in this game. This was an incredible comeback by this young, talented North Melbourne Kangaroo side. But for me, I'm almost looking at this is old Suns rearing their ugly heads, even under Dimma, an experience and a team that has a ton of talent, but do they
Yeah.
have that mongrel in them? And right now, this is another game that shows I don't know if they do.
Yeah. I don't think so, man. I don't think, especially just being having that be the definition of the identity of their team. I don't think so. Not yet, at least. Um, yeah, this game was an excellent game. This is one of the games that I was talking about as far as one of the teams that's been hugging the bottom of the ladder and just showing the improvement. This was definitely a very good win for the North. You just see some of the younger players that were on that team getting beat up and just see the maturity in their game, be able to take on the moments that in previous moments where they failed and taking the challenge and accepting it and winning. It was very impressive, especially like Davies Uniacke. He's become a hell of a player in the midfield there.
Hmm.
I really like Wardlaw too. I don't think he really gets talked about a lot, but he hits every pack with like 100%, and
Hmm.
uh, he definitely gets injured a lot. And I'm not quite surprised given his style of play, but I think he's just an underrated piece over there. But just in general, though, North bringing a couple of those senior players over that they did last year to help them with their growth, and also having Clarkson as well. I think all that just is kind of working some harmony right now over there.
Yep. 38 point deficit was North's deficit at halftime, and they win it with a kick after the siren. Now, I 100% agree with you. I think LDU has always gotten some plaudits, but I think a
Yeah,
lot of people look at him down a little bit because of where he plays. I think
yeah,
that's the
exactly.
issue. It's the same thing with Sheasel a little bit. I know Kane Corns went on his little rant
Jimby,
about that,
Jimby
which
too.
Again, it's kind of frustrating. It's kind of frustrating a little bit that Kane Corn's just. I think he picks some of the low hanging fruit sometimes when it comes to being an absolute trash panda. But whatever. No, it's. I love Wardlow. I think he attacks the pack. I agree with you. I think unfortunately, whether he'll have a long career is the $1 million question because of how he attacks the footy. I love it,
I
but
love
it
it too.
really makes me scream 10-year career max because I just don't
Yeah,
know if his body's going to be able to handle how he attacks the game, which is
yeah,
sad, but it's understandable because when you play this bowling ball kamikaze style of football, especially being as a central midfielder, you are
yeah,
really putting a lot of heavy contact into your body. And whether you can handle that for over 10 years is the $1 million question. But like I remember watching some of the weekend shows, and I mean, and they're showing the Suns team just they don't have the efforts back. And the problem is it's not just Anderson and Rao, it's Petraka. Like
yeah,
Petraka from Melbourne is starting to rear its ugly head where he's great with footy in hand. He's great when you're on attack, but when you're on defense, he is a liability and a half. And I think that's the hard part
yeah,
for some of the Suns fans to understand is maybe this is the reason why Melbourne moved on from him because there are still some bugs in the software when it comes to it. Again, super talented player, an incredible player, but he does have his issues. And unfortunately, this is one of those games where they were glaringly obvious. And this is a tough pill to swallow. And I can only imagine what Demo was like. I didn't watch the press conference because I can only imagine the rare mood he was probably in,
yeah.
especially considering it's his favorite place to play. That's Marvel Stadium, especially after
Oh
the
my
fun
God,
comments he had when he was
he
in
is
Richmond.
crazy
So
for that, man.
I'm sorry, I have to sink the boot into to dim it just the tiniest bit on that one. So
Yeah.
I don't want to move to this one, but I will. Geelong Cats with a nice, impressive win over the top of the table at the time, Swans 107 to 80. This was just one of those where this brought PTSD for Swans fans when it comes to it. Is
Oh man.
man, this was not fun as a Swans supporter. I will give this ones a little bit of credit though. They fought back. They didn't just roll over.
Yeah,
They didn't just wave the right flag. They continued to fight. The Cats were just so good. Bailey Smith, Max Holmes, the Dash brothers were incredible.
yeah,
Again, I think a little bit of GMHBA Stadium and the defense that Geelong played kind of really messed with the Swans. I think they probably should have went to a kick mark game early in the second quarter to kind
yeah,
of pinpoint, and they just never did. They kept trying, which again, I appreciate that they kept trying. They were going for their one wood. The problem was it just wasn't working. I
right.
mean, there were mistakes made by some of the veteran players that just can't happen, and they happened at the worst possible times. I mean, Connor O'Sullivan, a youngster who I was telling Steve's off Mike, I absolutely loved in his draft years, would have loved to have him at the Swans, goes to the Cats, and I was cussing up a storm because I knew he was going to be exactly what he's going to become, and that's an incredibly good footballer under Coach Scott there. And then he kicks his first ever AFL goal against the Swans. Thank you
He
very
did. He
much.
did.
It's
He did.
again, this is just such a good Cats team. I mean, they're always going to be there, no matter what the record is. If they make it into finals, they're going to be a threat. I respect the shit out of the Cats. They annoy the crap out of me because they're so good, but I
Yeah.
respect the hell out of them because they just keep getting it done. And it's frustrating when they play you, but it's fun to watch because they just they're going to be good. No matter what their offseason was like, they're
Every
going to be
time.
good. And here they come again.
Yeah. Every time. I remember when we were doing me and Juwan used to do our preseason ladder predictions.
Mhm.
And be like, oh yeah, Geelong's not gonna make it. They're getting too old. And I learned after a couple years, I was like, you know what? I'm not even taking them out the equation, bro, because they
Yep.
seem to be able to just revigorate like whatever they lose. It seems like because I remember like the midfield now is way different from the starkly, completely a whole different team,
Yep.
but different position group from the Geelong team from 2021 when I first
Yep.
started watching footy, like Selwood and all these other players, like Danger was running through the midfield, and now it's like you got a whole different cavalry still having the same impact and still contending on the same level,
Yep.
and it's just it just shows you the stability of the club that they have there. It's just a well-oiled machine right now.
Yep. And it's
Well,
just it's
just
so
historically.
and so well coached too. I mean, I gotta give coach again,
Yeah.
same thing. Annoying
Yes.
as hell that he's so good, but he's very good, Coach Scott. I mean, he always puts his guys in the best place to be successful. Like I said, you just got to tip your cap to him. You just it sucks as an opponent, but you respect what they do because they're so
Definitely.
good at what they do. They don't change for anybody. They play their style of footy. If they evolve just enough
They
to
do.
keep you guessing, which really annoys you because you think, okay, we finally figured him out, and the sons of bitches change just enough that you got to make some changes, and it's really frustrating. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fault the Swans. I know some people are gonna put sip the boot into them as well. They're good. There's another fancy team to win the premiership falls apart. Now again, we're at round 11, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want like this is. Let me put my red hat on for just a second. As a
Yeah.
Swans fan, I don't want them playing their best footy right now. I want them struggling. I want them
Right. Right.
having adversity. I want them having to learn
Right.
because your best football should not be being played till round 20 or later. Because if you peak too early, 2024 Sydney Swans peaked too damn early. And I
Yeah.
said it that year in round 15. I said, I am worried the Swans are going to have trouble because they've peaked. They played their best football in June. You can't do that. You
Yeah.
have to be playing your best football
Yeah.
in August, in September.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And that's what we're seeing again. This is a Cats team, struggled a little bit. They're starting to catch their groove. We'll have to see
Yeah.
how it goes. Let's move over to the MCG because every single outlet, everybody was talking about this game,
Oh yeah.
and it annoyed the crap out of me.
Did it?
Because of the Cat Swans game being at the same time. Like, I get
Oh
it.
yeah.
Okay. I get celebrating Pendles. And again, I don't want anybody to take this as disrespecting Pendles because it's not. It's more of disrespecting how the Pies really kind of this became a circus and a half. And I get it. You want Pendles to be able to play at home. But I will be 100% honest, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm this way. Legitimately, I was barracking for West Coast as hard as I've ever barracked for any team ever as this game played on because I would have loved to hear McRae have to explain why they made all these things about we have to play this game at the MCG. We have to play it against the West Coast Eagles. And the Eagles came out with a chip on their shoulder and they damn near did it. They damn near did it. They didn't.
Almost.
Pies get the win. And again,
They did.
hat tip to the Pies, hat tip to Pendles. Congratulations on the record. I'm so happy for you. An incredible footballer, class to the end. Again, I never had a problem with Pendles. My problem was how the club made this into a circus because we knew they broadcasted it over with that they were going to do everything they can, season be damned, to make sure that this game was played at the MCG. And again, I get
Yeah.
it. 90,000, 100% understand that. But they played with fire and damn near got burned. Like plaudits to the West Coast Eagles because I'm happy that they're playing some better football.
For
I
sure.
loved Harley Reid was not the greatest player in this game, and they damn near still did it. So
Yeah.
again, my thoughts go out to Jamie Elliott.
Yeah. Well,
Terrible that ACL injury. I knew as soon as he landed and as soon as he grabbed the knee, I knew exactly what it was. Devastating. Absolutely hate it for him. Could that be the last time we see Jamie Elliott in a Collingwood
hopefully not.
Magpies jersey? I hope not, but it is a possibility. And I think that's the frustrating part about it. And again, plaudits to the Pies. They got it done. But the Eagles damn sure made it
They
difficult.
did. Yeah, I was obviously I'm anti Pies everywhere I go. So definitely rooting for West Coast. But even outside of like the context of them playing the Pies, I really found myself rooting for them the last really this season. For whatever reason, I can't really pinpoint why. Uh, but Willem Dersma has been great, man. I really like what I've been seeing
Yep.
from him, man. He's
Definitely
lifted them
well
again more
deserved number one
dynamic.
pick. Definitely well deserved.
Yeah, definitely. And Harley, like we spoke about Harley a little bit, and you see him give Pendles that fend off. He wasn't trying to hear none of this from this week. He's not afraid of any moment. So it's good to see him out. It's been good to see him elevate his game, and become a little bit more of a goal scorer than he's been like his first year. I know this is his second year is when he started kicking a little bit more goals. So excited to see first off where he ends up going. I don't know if he's going to stay in West Coast forever, but also just how his game develops in general. But yeah, it was tough to see that Jamie Elliott. I knew that he tore his ACL immediately as well. It was just a rough landing. And
Mhm.
also Darcy Moore going down with a hamstring after his first game back from injury as well.
Yeah.
So Pie's going to be without a couple pieces over there. Uh, um, yeah, I do want to give West Coast some credit as well. Like I said, they were one of the teams I was speaking about that we were talking about a little bit before about me being proud of the teams at the bottom of the ladder and improving. So they're a lot more competitive than they've been the last couple of years. So it's good to see them be able to give a really a tough test against the Pies on a big moment where
Yep.
they knew that it was
Yeah.
all of theirs.
Yep. West Coast may not make finals, but they I'm gonna say this now, they're damn sure they're gonna shape it. I
Yeah,
can guarantee you, them in North Melbourne, like I hope North Melbourne make it. Really, I really,
yeah,
really do.
yeah. That'd be
Because I
cool.
I think they're gonna be fantastic if they get there with their talent. I think West Coast is just gonna fall a little bit short. But
Definitely.
I'm going to tell you, they're going to nip some teams and make some teams really nervous come that last week, come finals. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
And one of the next teams that we're talking about in the next games, I think if they continue the form that they're showing now, could be another team that could influence the finals a lot. And that is your beloved Blues as they head over to the Adelaide
Mm,
Oval and get a big win, 92-58. 2-0 under the caretaker coach. I feel bad for Vossi because it seems like Vossi leaves and now all of a sudden the Blues are starting to play some great football.
right.
Was it really Voss? I don't really want to kick Voss while he's down, but right now, I mean,
That's
the
what it points to.
results are pointing that way. Now,
Yeah.
maybe it is the shackles are off because they know the finals is probably not going to happen. Again, not trying to kick you here, Steez. That's never my option, but sometimes that is the way it is like when the pressure of doing something is off, it
Yeah.
actually makes your football freer. I know Sydney a couple of years ago when we knew they weren't going to make finals, they became scary because they just played. They didn't
Yeah.
worry about it. They just went after it, and that can be the most dangerous teams. So happy for the Blues. I know somebody went down early in this game with what I later found out was also at ACL, which is weird
Yeah.
because his first grab was at the back of his knee. I thought he actually
Yeah.
had done his hamstring.
Right.
But man, toughness in this game again. Was this the greatest game of football? Probably not. Port Adelaide has been really Jekyll and Hyde this year. They've shown games where they've been really good, and then some games that they have been absolute trash. I mean, let's just be
Yes.
honest. And I have a
Yeah.
few Port fans again. They've been very, very blunt with me when I've talked with them. So but I'm happy for the Blues. This is a big win. Crippa is starting to get going. I know there's been so much talk of does Carlton move on from Crippa? Do they move on from Wiedering? Do they move on with Mackay? Well, they're damn sure if they are going to go out, they're damn sure going out with a bang because they've looked really, really good these last 2 weeks. Again, I know there's still a lot of footy still to be played, but I'm liking the form that they're starting to show right now.
Yeah. It's very exciting. I definitely was happy with the effort that we were able to put up this week and even last week and even against Brisbane to some degree as well.
Hmm.
Matty Carroll was a player that you were talking about that towards ACL, and he's one of our better ball users too. So that was kind of soured the win a little bit. Definitely was like one of our young pieces we can build around that I'm excited to see the future. But in the beginning of the game, I mean, to start, it was actually pretty decent because
Yep.
both teams were just dead eye, no behinds. It was just goals. I think Carlton was like 8 goals, none before we got our first behind. So I just really liked everything I've seen from a Carlton perspective, just from the transition, the ball usage is much better. The inside 50s are way better. We're used to always just bombing it inside 50. This time it looked like a concerted effort to be able to have a low flat kick on a lead from a forward. And it just looked very good, man. I think we had showed patience as well when it wasn't quite there. Sometimes we have a tendency to rush things. Sometimes we switch up the tempo to the degree that it shouldn't be in. Like we'll go fast when it's supposed to be slow. And I think we're just getting a lot of recognition and just playing better footy as a whole. So it's pretty exciting to see. Like you were saying, Cripps. I definitely was in the camp of not knowing if the game passed him. He
Mhm.
showed off the last couple of weeks, but just the way that footy modern day now, how it is just quick, get the ball to the outside off a handball, and it's transition footy, and that might not be Cripps' expertise.
Mhm.
Um, but he's shown that he still got it, and he's can strongly impact the game whenever he sets his mind to it.
You can still have a tough inside bull midfielder. You can still have that, but you
Yeah,
kind of need to have him around with some speedsters, with some guys that are really slick with the ball
yeah,
movement, can have some giddy up in their step, or maybe some step to be able to get loose. So the problem that I think Carlton's midfield was running into is that I love Walsh, I love Hewitt, I love Crippa, but I mean, there's nobody in that group that's going to step somebody or run by them. They're all kind of the
right,
same thing. They're
right.
all over the footy, tough as nails, get
Yeah,
the footy. They didn't have that runner through there. They don't have the Isaac Keeney's, the Nick Dacoses, the Andy Brayshaws, the guys that got a little bit of pace to them that can be able to get out of some space. So it's fun to see them kind of experiment a little bit and move some guys in. I know the new kid that just they brought in. I know he's been playing a lot of forward, but who knows?
Jagger
Maybe
Smith.
no. Well, I think he's got a little bit more pace, but
Yeah, he definitely
he,
does.
he still needs to develop the Ison kid, the new forward that came in these last couple of
Yeah,
games.
I don't think he's good at using the ball right now. He's been better, but
Yeah.
he's been a turnover machine.
But it's guys like that that you think eventually could be the future go into the midfield
Yeah,
because the a little bit younger legs. Again, it'll be fascinating to see how it goes with this team. But no, I'm Crippa will always be one of those you just love because he plays the game as purely as he possibly
yeah,
can. You just love him to death. The question will be is will he still be wearing a Blues jumper next season
right.
or will he go back home to the West? Because the
Yeah,
problem is that the best team in the West probably doesn't need him. And the team that
maybe
needs
not.
him in the West, do they really want him
It
with
doesn't fit the
him
time.
because they're not really in that realm to try to fight for a premiership. We'll have to see
Right,
is
right.
does he go west or does he stay with Carlton and maybe shift forward a little bit or maybe even shift to that halfback flanker role that a lot of midfielders have kind of shifted to. I know Rory Laird has done it, Luke
Yeah,
Parker has done it and been very effective. Could we see that as
yeah.
Crippa's next evolution in his career? It'll be
That,
fascinating.
that's what I rather. That's what I rather would have seen rather than dropping Hewitt as a whole, which was one of a big criticism I have for Voss was you don't just drop. I think arguably like Hewitt last year, if we're being honest, with no favoritism towards our star players, Hewitt was our best midfielder last year.
He won your best and
He won
fairest.
best and fairest. He's
Yeah.
Yeah, he won best and fairest. He plays both ways. He plays on offense. He defends well.
Yep.
And he's just our most consistent between him, Chera, Walsh, and Cribs. And
Yep.
so to be fair, and it would never happen. But if we're being honest, Cripps, if you couldn't find a way to rotate one of them forward, which I think is what should have happened,
Yep.
then you should have dropped Cripps, which is never going to happen. But Hewitt didn't deserve that because he right when he came back in, it still was the same situation that was going on. We were still losing games,
Mhm.
and he still performed.
Yep. And he was racking up like 35 and 40 in the VFL.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
There's no reason why Hewitt should have went down. Hewitt should have went down, but I mean that's it's just the way he was kind of the
he
scapegoat of the
was.
whole thing.
He was.
And that's it's the way it kind of turned out. But again, he's back in. I'm happy for
Me
George. I
too.
think George is again. He is a salt of the earth type of player.
Yep.
There's nothing flashy to what George Hewitt did. I loved him at Sydney. I hated to see him go, but I knew he needed to go somewhere if he wanted the midfield minutes that he rightly deserved. He just wasn't going to
Yeah.
get him at Sydney at the time with Luke Parker, James E. Rowbottom,
Yep.
Chad
And
Warner. By Yep.
Dawson was there too at the same time,
Yep.
wasn't he? They all
Well,
left the same
Dawson
year.
was playing the halfback flanker role.
Okay.
Again, it's the giant misconception with a lot of people is everybody's like, look at how good he is. Like I knew how good he was at Sydney. He just couldn't play the midfield because they just didn't have a spot for him. And
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm being told from sources that I know through the situation, the only reason he ended up back in Adelaide was because his girlfriend didn't want to stay in Sydney anymore. He wanted to stay at Sydney. From everything that I've
Wow.
heard, he wanted to stay there, but his girlfriend was really homesick, and as an Adelaide girl wanted to be there. They met, and so she talked him into going home. So that's why that happened, and then there's a little bit of drama when it comes
Yeah.
to compensation. The trade was really interesting. Again, I knew Dawson was going to go over to Adelaide and absolutely kill it. I absolutely knew that. So when people were like, "Well, nobody knew he was this good," Every
Yeah,
Swan fan that I talked about absolutely were absolutely destroyed when he left.
yeah,
So no, we knew. You guys just didn't know because he was up in the harbor city. So let's just be very honest with that. So sorry, we'll have
yeah,
we'll go off that one. So let's go stay in Sydney as we were just discussing too. Probably the result that shocked all of us the most as GWS Giants take the defending premiers and spank them like a misbehaving child 166 to 88, including an 83-point third quarter, 14 goals in a row. In fact, I just did the math. 8 teams this round did not score 83 points in their entire game. And
yeah.
GWS did it in one quarter
That's crazy.
against the defending premiers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did Brisbane even score that quarter? Did they score
I
a goal that quarter?
I can't remember. Let me check on it. Why, don't- why,
I
don't- why
remember
don't
at
you why
one
don't, why
point
don't
it
you
was
talk
like,
about this a little bit more and I will do the research, but it was they didn't score a goal that quarter. I know that for sure.
okay, yeah,
They
because it
had
was like
three
80.
behinds. They had three behinds. That
There
was
we
all
go.
they had in the third quarter. They went in at halftime 8-5. They ended the third quarter 8
Yeah,
8.
that was so insane, man. I was sitting there watching it just tilt over, and I was like, Brisbane, there's no way. I was like just waiting as the lead got larger and larger. I was like, all right, Brisbane's about to stabilize. They're gonna turn it around, and it just kept getting into muddy waters, man. I'm like, all right, I used to seeing Brisbane in this position. I was like, they're gonna come back, and then it's like they're getting
Yeah.
beat like the North and the West Coast of late. And you're like, damn, bro. Like, I feel like GWS has always been good on paper. Last year, before this particular season, 2025, I tipped them to be the minor premiers just because I like this how on paper how their list look. They have seem to
Hmm.
have like a well balanced, just from forward, mid, and defending. Um, but so I always had I always look for the best in GWS because I see the potential in them, and they just show their trademark orange tsunami like just to the craziest degree that we've ever seen them, man.
Hmm.
I was really happy in particular though about how them scoring that many goals because the whole time I was like, all right, bro, we got to make sure that they score more goals than Sydney scored on Carlton in that third quarter, man, to open it round. Uh, and they ended up doing it, so I'm very happy with GWS for being able to complete that feat for me.
Got Carlton off the stat book for sure. No, it's
Yeah,
I was watching that game and I sat there was just like you have to be kidding me because I mean it was a one goal game at halftime.
was was
And by the end of the third quarter, I mean it was over halfway through the third quarter and they weren't even done with their 14 goals in a row. I mean it is the scoring ladder, I mean is insane. It legitimately looks like a set of stairs. I mean absolutely insane. It's that's just the Giants. When they're on, they can be extremely difficult to stop, especially Toby Green at his best, Jake Stringer at his best.
them two went
I
crazy.
know Hogan didn't play in this game, but when
Hogan didn't
Hogan
even
is
play.
on, I know when Hogan is on,
Yeah,
he's really good. You're
yeah.
seeing the impact of Toby Bedford. You're seeing Harvey Thomas come in and play really, really well on
Harvey
the wing. I
Thomas.
I know he didn't have a great he wasn't like elite in this game, but he's had his moments this season.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, Brent Daniels is back. They're starting to play well. And again, Sam Taylor hasn't even played a single second of footy on this GWS Giants team again.
And Buckley got hurt this game
And,
too,
and Buckley got hurt too. So it's like this Giants team, they've been very snake bitten this season. Let's just be honest. They've been very snake bitten. They've lost some games they probably should have won. So
for sure.
again, this is a team if they get healthy, if they get their shit together, this could be a dangerous, dangerous sign with the talent they have, especially adding Clary Oliver over the offseason. I think
Yep,
he has found that special sauce up in GWS, which is great. A little bit like what Petraka did at the early part of the year for Gold Coast, is that
yep,
he just
yep,
needs that right way, especially Tom Green going down. Surprisingly, I think Tom Green's injury has actually helped
yep.
Clary Oliver
Right.
enamor in kind of engross himself into this team much
Yep,
quicker. I think if Tom Green was there, I think it'd be a little bit more difficult for Clary Oliver to
for
have
sure. And Kelly hasn't played
infused
either,
himself. Yep. Yeah, he's been hurt with his hip pointer issue that he's had. Canelio's kind of been banished out to the wing, which he's done decent, but again, is it typical Stephen Canelio? Absolutely not. So I think again, this is a Giants team. There's still a lot. that it can go right for them if stuff turns out. So I'm
Yep.
fascinated to see watch this Giants team as the Sydney Siders. The second Sydney Derby is always interesting because both teams change just that little bit. So it always makes the second Sydney Derby so much fun. Cannot wait for that. But then to hold my beer moment, we get the 83-point
Mhm.
quarter, and then we get the absolute classic as the doggies find a way to do it as they knock off the D's by three, 93-90. An incredible game. This is the doggies I think we saw at the start of the year, the ones that went into Brisbane and beat Brisbane earlier at the year, the team that everybody was talking about, potentially a
Yeah.
premiership favorite at the start of the season when they were playing so well. And then all of the injury issues that kind of destroyed that
Yeah.
round 4 to round 10 situation. They've been fighting
Yeah.
with it.
It's been rough for them boys.
Ed Richards comes up with 3 goals in this game. Bont looks fantastic off the halfback line, which I'm loving this change for Bont to kind of save him a little bit, especially
Yeah.
considering Bailey Dale has been a little bit off this season. Um, but
Yes.
but I was shocked. Like Rory Lobb did a decent job. Now again, Max gone is Max
He
gone.
did.
He's gonna get his. But Rory Lobb didn't do too bad a job.
He didn't.
So it was fantastic to see the doggies play well. Again, this is a Melbourne team that this sucks, but this shows their youth. There's still a good amount of young players that they're going to have to get used to getting consistent footy into them.
Yeah.
And this is a game. This is going to happen. This is a very talented doggy side that when they're on can catch a
Yeah.
team like this at just the right time. And this was a perfect storm, and the doggies found a way to get it done.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's my initial thoughts of watching this game or coming into this week. Watching this matchup was, man, Max Gawn's about to have a career game because dogs have been getting smashed as of late in the ruck
Hmm.
without Tim English, um, and they just been tough in that area for the most part. But uh, actually, like you said, Lob had there was just a good collective effort. I think in the ruck in general against Max Gawn, he wasn't able to. He won his fair share as we all know he will because he's that great, but.
Hmm.
Dogs, they came out to play this game, man, and that's one thing that I think I tie to that club as well as Richmond too. It's a hard work. I wrote them off like earlier last year. You know, they had a handful of injuries. Bont started the year injured, and they were still able to stabilize and hold their season on for a while. So I think it's just the culture of the club to be hardworking. Being down that many players like Liberatore in particular, and obviously Sam Darcy, and it's just they haven't had Waitman back in a while. So they're just missing a lot of pieces and still able to find a way to get it done against a team in Melbourne that has been impressive as well this season too. I think some people had tipped Melbourne to be more toward the bottom of the ladder, but they've
Hmm.
been performing pretty well off the back of some of the kids that have stepped up this season. Harvey Langford, I think, in this game had a pretty good impact on the game. Had some impressive goals. Tolstrup too had some big moments too. So you can just name a bunch of the Melbourne kids that are performing well and earning their spot in the next Melbourne team that's supposed to be competing for finals.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting again. I think that this D side they have rebuilt on the run, and I think I cannot wait to see Coach King what he does as the season goes on because again, I agree. A lot of people had Melbourne bottom 4. Like they
Yeah.
thought Petrarca gone, Oliver gone, Pickett
Yep.
good, but Pickett
Yep.
still kind of he's
Yep.
still kind of developing into that
Yep.
full-fledged midfielder again. I love what Pickett is doing. I think he's
Me
incredible.
too.
Latrell's draft pick has shown to be has bared
Yeah.
great fruit for them as a hyper athletic small forward that I think has been fantastic. He's another piece that I think sometimes the competition needs that electric small
Mhm.
forward that's got a little bit of foot skills and some
Yeah.
a great ability to get through it. I cannot wait to watch this D side because I think as they grow, they're going to get much stronger and even better.
Yep.
And Max Gone is aging like a fine wine. I mean,
Yep.
sommeliers would absolutely love him because he
Yeah.
is absolutely getting better with age. It is
True.
incredible. So again, that is it. That is all 9 games through this last round talked through. Now we get to one of my favorite parts, and that's the burning questions. And to go off the last game that we just talked about and a game earlier between North Melbourne and Gold Coast, I asked this of you, Steez. I try to do a game of the year at the end of the year.
Okay.
And damn it, I have a hard time splitting these two. Like, legitimately, two of the best games of the season so far.
Yeah.
Both have been in this particular round. So I ask you, did we see two games that are going to be at the end of the year talked about as game of the year.
Yeah, I think so. If you ask me personally, I would say these two definitely have a shot to be in the two. Between the two, I probably would maybe pick the North Gold Coast game. But I don't think it's just by a hair. It'll be hard to choose just because both of these games were just very entertaining down to the wire. I just think the ending of the North game, was just a little bit more climactic, and so I think I would pick that one. But I definitely, to answer your question, I think both of them will be at the
Yeah.
end.
Those two are definitely going to be high on my list for sure. I almost like the Melbourne Western Bulldogs one just a little bit more because it was a little bit
Really,
more competitive because of the big deficit that North had to come back from. But
that's true. That's true.
sometimes that does make great games, like to see that the separation between the two teams completely flip. So
Yeah,
to each their own. I love it for the North Melbourne fans for them to get up
yeah,
and about because I had said in my podcast, I said, this is a perfect storm for North to get a win because Gold Coast sometimes struggles coming off of those that trips up the Darwin sometimes, and especially the heat and humidity. It takes you a couple of weeks to fully get your body back to normal
yeah.
because we saw it with Port Adelaide this week too. Like not taking anything away from Carlton, but they were sluggish.
They are.
So this is kind of one of those. This is a perfect storm. But again, I think both games were incredible. So definitely going to be two that I will definitely have to look at the end of the year when it comes to my game of the year. We've talked about it. This is the last time I want to talk about it. And is Scott Pendlebury. Congratulations, 433 record breaker. So incredible.
Yeah.
But I ask you, was it good or bad for the game? The saga of when is he going to play it? What's going to happen? The jerseys, the money, the cleats, the so much drama and saga about this. Was it
Yeah.
good or bad for the game, the way it all played out?
Uh, I guess I mean I don't really have a strong opinion either way. I would say definitely like if they ended up losing the game, the West Coast would have been a bad. It would have looked pretty terrible, which would have been pretty funny to watch. But I don't know if I have an answer for that because I do think they went over the top with the number on the jersey, specifically letting like oh, I thought it was just gonna be Scott with the 10, with the gold 10. Everybody on the team had to
That's
go.
what I had heard the rumors at, and I think they changed it after a few people kind of
Yeah,
spit the dummy a little bit on it.
yeah.
Let me go with this, and this is just me, and I'm going to caveat it a little bit, and I know it's
Okay,
weird because it's going to caveat really differently than some people. Do I
okay.
think that the record being broken is good? Yes, absolutely. It is incredible to see a player break a record that I think a lot of people when Boomer broke it, I don't think anybody thought it would
Yeah,
ever be touched again because the game is so physical. It's so tough on the body, and players just don't last as much because
yeah,
there's so much wear and tear on the body because of the rigors of the sport.
yeah,
So it is great that this record was broken. For me, the saga was bad because for me, and this is just me personally,
yeah.
I believe the club made a circus out of this by, well, we have to do this and we have to do
I
this.
can see that.
And I get it. This man is up there in maturity when it comes to it. He has a lot of seasons on his body. 5 day break, I get it. But I'm telling you this right now. If Collingwood miss finals by a game or two games, they can look at themselves and go Geelong and Sydney.
Yeah,
The two games he sat out. And again, I know the Geelong game was a 5 day break. I understand that one. But if you miss finals, you can almost blame this whole saga as the reason that they did because they dropped two games that if Pendles plays potentially, they could win, but they lost both of them. So
I mean I can see that line of thing.
it's a weird dichotomy to think of. And again, I'm not wishing ill will on anybody, but if Collingwood miss finals and they miss it by two games or less, they can almost blame themselves for the reason that they aren't in finals. It's a weird, like I said, it's a weird thing to think about. And again, we're 12 rounds in, so much footy still to play.
Yeah,
But it's something that personally, I've even heard some people say, is Collingwood going to regret this in the future, trying to do so much to get the Collingwood fans to be able to see it, that did they actually cost the team a finals opportunity in the process of
Mhm.
making sure its fans got to see the record at home. So,
That's gonna be interesting.
yep. So we go from talking about Collingwood to now talking about your beloved Carlton Blues. Like I said, I always end the third question talking about my co-host's favorite team. So, as a Blues
Okay.
fan that you are you feeling better with the direction of the club after these last two rounds with a couple of nice wins to kind of get
Yeah.
some positive momentum back into Blues Nation?
Yeah. I'll say I'm. It's good to see the wins finally get the 4 points on the board the last couple weeks, considering that we have showed promises of good footy. Like we haven't just been completely shit. We just haven't been able to sustain good footy. So it is exciting to see. Also, like we talked about earlier with this, the Matty Carroll ACL is a little bit sour, but it's good to see us just roll some more young kids come through the club and get some more experience under their belts. We've seen Jack Eisen get his opportunity. Billy Wilson, I mean, is getting his opportunity as well. So um, I will say I am pretty happy, but also understanding that this has happened before, where teams have went on a win streak under the interim coach, and then honeymoon phase is over, and then the club's back in this familiar position that we were with the previous coach. So I'm kind of cautiously optimistic, I guess I could say. Um, yeah. Also, like we beat the Dogs the first game last week, which is an injury, a real team that was heavily hurt by injuries. Um, so yeah, it's just quality of the win also comes to mind as far as the opposition that we play. So I'm just watching, man. Yeah. Letting the feelings come to me, really.
Yeah, well, the good thing is a little bit of the pressure is off, and like I said, the free sometimes the free footy sometimes can be the best footy. And the best part is now you can sit there and take pride in you can mess with some teams when it comes to finals. You can put a few more gray hairs into a few fans
Yeah,
because you knock one of them off. Now they may not make finals. So sometimes it's the different motivational ways
yeah,
of looking at it that I think is always fascinating. But again, I'm happy for Blues Nation that they've got some positivity through them because it has been a tough start to the year, and I have many a Blues fan that I know of that again, great people, absolutely fantastic. Your passion for your club, I absolutely love it. I respect it. So I
yeah.
want you to be successful. So seeing that
Appreciate
success
that.
is great for sure. So let's move to it. The fun part about the podcast, I take over just the tiniest bit when it comes to it, is that I
That's
have
fine.
my team of the week and
Okay,
my
cool.
power rankings. So I'm interested, Steve. You dive into this. I know you and I play fantasy footy. For those that are
Mhm.
just listening to podcasts, is we have an American
Yep.
fantasy league, which 10 Americans that we play fantasy footy together, and Steve and I play on this, and it is fun because many of us are super competitive, so we get after each other a lot. So I'm interested. You know many of these names, so I'm interested what you think of this week's team of the week. Again, my
Okay.
criteria, I focus a little bit more on goals and score involvement. So sometimes you're going to see a few names that are a
Okay.
little different compared to they got 35 disposals, they automatically get in. Well, it's great to have 35 disposals, but if you make no
Yeah.
impact on the scoreboard, what does it really do? So here is my team of the
Excellent.
week. We start on the fullback line again. I am a coach, so I always start with my defensive side. We have Josh Worrell of the Adelaide Crows, Brennan
Okay.
Cox of the Fremantle Dockers, and he kicks a goal against me, but I got to give it Connor O'Sullivan of the Geelong Cats will
Okay.
round
Okay.
out the fullback line. On the halfback line, we have Jaden Short of the Richmond Tigers, Lawson Humphrey of the Geelong Cats, and Marcus Bontempelli rounds out the halfback line. Since he played mostly halfback in this game, I will chuck
Okay.
him into the halfback line. I know he's a central midfielder, but he played halfback for most of this game. On the wings, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have wings in this sport, so I'm going to give them some love. We have Brad Hill of the St. Kilda Saints and Harvey Langford of the Melbourne Demons will be my wingers. In the ruck, Bailey J. Williams of the West Coast Eagles has been playing some magnificent football. I'm still ticked I wasn't able to pick him up in the fantasy team. Damn it. damn it. But you know what? I'm happy for him because I think he's had some struggles, but I'm glad to see him back in. Nick Dacos, my center three midfielders will be Nick Dacos of the Collingwood Magpies, Max Hall, who's playing some fantastic football over these last two or three rounds for the St. Kilda Saints, and Ed Richards, the redhead himself, will be the
Edrich.
last of the center midfields. On the half forward line, we have Blake Hardwick of the Hawthorn Hawks,
Yep.
Toby Green of the GWS
Yep.
Giants, and Archie May of the Essendon Bombers. The full forward line, we see never going to jai a miss from the Fremantle Dockers, Jake Stringer of the GWS Giants, and Cam Reyna of the Brisbane Lions. On the bench, because of the fifth bench player this year, I have added a utility. So I have a defender, a ruck, a midfielder, a forward, and a utility. So my defender is Will Powell of the Gold Coast Suns. My ruck is Max Gawn of the Melbourne Demons. My midfielder is your boy Crippa. Patrick Cripps is my midfielder. Elliot Yo is my forward for the West Coast Eagles. And I get a shout out, a young winger, Roan Steele of the Collingwood Magpies, will be my utility. As that rounds out my team of the week, I know it's a lot of names really quickly. Steve, your thoughts on team of the week?
Uh, I don't know if I can disagree with any of those, man.
So,
I really like the half forward line in particular, man.
yep,
Them boys really took the game by storm. A couple of GWS boys, former or current, in Stringer and Toby Green. Yeah, I really like it, especially like the back line too. I think Connor Sullivan definitely deserved that.
yep.
Really impressive.
And
That's a strong ass
Josh
bench, I'll
Worrell's been
say, bro.
incredible for Adelaide. I know Mitch Hinge being
Yes,
hurt and Mark Keane have been hurt. Josh Worrell
yeah,
has stepped up
yeah,
big for them.
yeah. He has.
Cal Wilkie have
Yeah,
been some of my favorite fullbacks this year because they've been playing
yeah,
incredible. Brennan Cox, along with Jordan Clark and Luke Ryan for Fremantle, have been incredible. I know Alex Pierce has been in and out. Heath Chapman's played really well. So Fremantle's one of those. I swear I have at
yeah.
least one of them every week because they just either their half forwards get up and kick goals or they're racking up disposals but making an impact on the game. So no, this is so much fun. Sometimes I feel like I'm splitting hairs a little bit with a few of these, but
Yeah,
I know
there's a
I've
lot of
had
talent,
some
man.
that are like, well, what about this guy? And I'm like, I love having a discussion about it because it's so much fun because everybody sees it just the tiniest bit different.
Yeah.
So and then we always do power ranks. Again, my homage to the fourth and long part of it. Again, producer Ross always gets a kick out of that. I've kept this part of the podcast,
Okay.
but mine is form. It is not just how they've done this season because
Okay.
that'd be easy. Just pick the top five. That's not
Right.
how I do it. I do form. So the last five games, how many games have you won in a row? How many games of the five have you won? So this is going to be interesting. Interesting to see what you think. At five, the Gold Coast Suns. At four, the Adelaide Crows. At three, the Sydney Swans. At two, the Geelong Cats. And at one, still undefeated in the last nine games, the Fremantle Dockers. So,
That's so crazy to hear, man. Frio
yep.
at the top.
Lose their
Yeah,
first game to Geelong and have rolled off nine consecutive and
yeah.
rolled off nothing but wins ever since then. I am loving this Docker side. They're going to be fun to watch. So that is through that. And I know this isn't easy, but let's go to tipping. We are early in the round. I know the injury report still hasn't come out. Some things again, some few things. And unfortunately, our least favorite time as footy tippers and as fantasy owners as the buys begin this week as Adelaide, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, and Port Adelaide will all take a seat and kick
Okay.
their feet up as the other teams will have a crack. So let's start off Thursday night footy. An interesting one at Marvel Stadium is the Saints take on the Hawks in this one. Who do you like in this one?
Saints at home versus the Hawks. I don't think the Saints have convinced me that they're capable of taking the Hawks. The Hawks have downs. They're a very inconsistent team too. I feel like they go through their little sporadic periods where they're high and they're low. Uh, but I don't know, man. I think the Hawks just showed, even without some of their key players, that they're really able to really hold it down. I think the Saints have had a couple disappointing players over there that haven't quite lived up to their contracts, and I'll be more safe tipping the Hawks and being happy about it.
Yep, I'm with you on this. Tipping Hawks in this one, St. Kilda just a little bit too inconsistent. I'm interested to see Does Naziah come back or not? How that'll go? Is Dunstan going to be back for the Hawks? It'll be fascinating. Under the lid, which I think will kind of keep this game nice and even. It'll be fun to can Hawthorne scrap it up a little bit and make it a little bit
Yeah,
more of a grimy game because the St. Kilda Saints want to spread it out and use their speed and pace. So it'll be fascinating. This will be a fun one for me, but I like the Hawks as well on this one.
yeah.
A head versus heart matchup for you, sir, on Friday Night Footy as your beloved Carlton Blues take on a red hot Geelong Cats at the MCG. Head versus heart tip, sir. Blues,
Yeah.
Cats, who do you like?
So at least it's not GMHBA because I would instantly tip Geelong. Even though, all right, well, let's say this first. I'm tipping Geelong. Um, even though Carlton beat Geelong last year, so that was a good
Mhm.
win, pretty unexpected win too. But for some reason, we do play decent against Geelong, but I still don't have it in me to be able to think that we'll be able to beat that team, especially in the current form that they're in now. I think it's gettable, but we're just not. We don't have the body of work for me to be confident in tipping us against Geelong, so I'll go with the Cats in this one.
Totally understand. And tipping the Cats, but I'll say this: this is your measuring stick on
It is. It
has the
is.
new caretaker coach made enough adjustments to play present day football? Because as we saw, the Cats are
It
turned
is.
into masters of what is present day football, the forward handball, the run and go, the constant movement, the chaos of football. Can can the Blues play with the Cats? This is going to be fascinating to see. If the Cats get rolling and the Blues can't stop the beating, it could be a long day, unfortunately. But
For sure.
can the Blues back it up? Can they muck it up a little bit? Can they kind of beat on Bailey Smith and Max Holmes a little bit? Can they make a little bit of pressure? It'll be fascinating to see how this goes. So tipping Cats, hoping the Blues make this a crack. I think it'd be
Me too.
fantastic for Blues Nation if Carlton can stay in this. If they get to the fourth quarter and it's under 4 goals, I think it's on like Donkey Kong for sure. It'll be fascinating to see how it goes. Again, tipping Cats, think the Blues hopefully make this a competitive one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the SCG, I feel kind of terrible for the Tigers in this one. Angry Sydney Swans at home, something to prove, motivated because of some crap performances. This could get ugly very, very quickly. Tipping Sydney, thinking Sydney big, hoping for the Tigers it's not. But this screams ugly considering I'm looking at the AFL, the betting market is a $16 difference. Swans
Damn.
102, Richmond Tigers $17. Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm going with you on this one, man. I'm tipping the Swans to have a comeback win against the Tigers, man. I think a little bit too much inexperience over there to be able to handle this monster that they're about to have to go against this week. So I'll go with the Swans.
Yeah, this is I like I said, I hope I'm not gonna watch another 200-point game because
Yeah,
if the Swans play the way they can, this could get ugly very, very quickly. Again, I'm hoping not. Again, I've always said this. I hate blowouts. I think they ruin the experience, no matter if it's for or against, it ruins the experience. So I'm hoping, but this it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
yeah,
If Coach Cox does what I think he could do, you could see a very fired up Swan side going into that game on that one.
yeah.
And then could be game of the round on this next one at the GABA as Fremantle come to town with that streak alive and a Lions team licking their wounds. Who do you like in this one?
Oh, this will be, I think, a real test for Frio here.
Yep.
You said it's in the out
It's at
stadium.
the GABA.
I think Gabo. Oh, that
Yep.
changes things.
Up in Brisbane.
Uh,
Yep.
see, we gotta assume there's gonna be an angry Brisbane team here too, man. Uh, I I
And
want to
does
tip. I'm
and
actually
do you see
starting.
Zorko is Barry back?
Yep.
Will they get some reinforcements with some guys that have missed the last couple of games too? It'd
Yeah.
be fascinating to see that too.
I think I'm gonna
So
pick the sneak pick, man, and take Frio on this one, man.
I don't think it's a sneak pick, which is really funny because right now the betting odds actually have Brisbane as the favorite, which I'm still trying to figure that out. This isn't the
Yeah.
same Fremantle side that can't travel. This is a Fremantle side that's shown they have been able to travel well. I am tipping the Dockers in this one only because
There you go.
again, I don't know Zorko. Is Zorko playing? Is Barry playing? how is Neil and the Ashcroft brothers, what's their headspace after the debilitating loss that was that GWS Giants? Like, did the Mickey get taken out of them? Fremantle is absolutely in fuego right now. Like I've said this many times, the sun is jealous with how hot Fremantle is playing right now. I mean, that's how
Yeah,
crazy this is.
yeah,
Tipping the Dockers, but again, nothing shocks me anymore, especially with this Lions side. Coach Fagan can sometimes find a ways to pull these guys' heads together. It'll be fascinating to see. Tipping Frio,
yeah.
but Brisbane, they're tough to tip against, especially
It
at the
could go either
Gabba.
way. It could go either
Yep.
way.
Yep. So let's move on. Marvel Stadium. This is another one. This has got me super intrigued as the primetime game as the Doggies host the Pies at Marvel Stadium. Who do you
Mm.
like in this one?
Um. So I don't know if I could tip the dogs, man. I mean, they've been impressive. See, you lose to Carlton, but then you win a thriller despite the
Over
injuries.
Melbourne, who's been playing well.
Yeah, exactly. It's the parity of
Collingwood
AFL is
coming off
crazy.
that Collingwood coming off that scare against West Coast. No Jamie Elliott.
No Darcy Moore, probably.
No Darcy Moore. Will Pendle's play.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Collingwood fans, but I'm gonna say it. Does Pendle's play? It'll be fascinating. It's more than 5 days, so I
I
think he
think
probably will, but you
I
never
think I'm
know.
gonna go with the dogs on this one, actually, man. I,
I'm
I would initially want to say the Pies, but I think I'm going with the dogs on this one.
I am with you. The doggies went over the D's. I think they're starting to get so I think they're starting to get some players back that I think they've kind of needed. I think Bont
Yeah,
has found that kind of nice renaissance there at the halfback line because
yeah.
of his injuries. I
Bailey
like the
Delk's been getting.
run. Collingwood already had trouble kicking goals, and now one of their best goal kickers just went down with an ACL. With an ACL, that is terrible news, and you lose Darcy Moore. I know you haven't had him for a few weeks, but to have him in and then right back out, that's an emotional kick in the balls. So
Yeah,
I just really worry that again, this is where are they going to rue those decisions earlier? Tipping the doggies in this one. Pies are going to give it a crack, but I think the doggies just a little bit too much. Ed Richards, Bailey Dale, Aaron Naughton is going to be difficult. It'll be interesting. Does Jeremy Howe get that matchup, or is it Brandon Maynard who gets that? And then Artie Jones is playing some great footy. How do they handle him? It'll be fascinating. This is going to be a fun one. Prime time, a couple of crackers to end
yeah.
Saturday night footy for that. Let's go to the Sunday slate as a fascinating one at TIO Park up in Alice Springs as Nam, the Melbourne Demons, take on GWS coming off that whooping of the Lions. I'm
Mm,
interested on this one because this is another coin flip. I'm going to tip the D's in this one purely because did GWS spend all their petrol tickets absolutely running up the score on Brisbane and then watch them score like 58 at Alice Springs
yeah.
and have to go up against a team that loves to run, that loves chaos. This could be a game. This could be a track meet. This is going to be a fascinating one in this one. It's the ruck dominance of Max Gawn, I think, is going to flip this game on its head. I like the D's in this one.
I actually don't know, man. That's actually kind of tough. I think Jack Steele. We didn't mention Jack Steele. Actually, he's been pretty good over there, man. Melbourne. I don't
Still
know
don't
why.
know why St. Kilda let him go.
That's what I was saying too. The way they kind of treated him, go from former skipper to find a new way, find a new club is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but
Um,
he found his niche over in
he
Melbourne right
did.
now. He's grinning like a Cheshire cat right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be actually not to get sidetracked, but I'm gonna be interested in when if Jack Viney comes back to see how that's gonna look with Steele because they're both tackling machines.
Yep.
But I think I'm just have to go GWS. I got to reward them with the effort that they put forward last week. Brisbane on paper and theoretically should be a tougher matchup for them rather than Melbourne, but um, I don't know, man. Both teams impressive, like you said. It is a coin flip. Uh, I just have to tip GWS just based off what I've seen from them.
No, I got no problem with that. I could see why. Like I said, for me, it's Max gone. I don't care if it's Karen Briggs, Nick Madden. I don't care who he's going up against. Gone is just so good. And
Yeah,
if you get first touch, if Langford, Steele, Bowie, Rivers, Langford,
yeah,
Pickett, all
yeah,
those midfielders with the pace that they're going to do, Can Callahan stay with it? Can Canelio stay with it? I mean, I know you've got Bedford, you've got Thomas, you've got some of the speedsters that GWS has. Like I said, this could become a track meet. Like this
It
could be one of
could.
those. I'm gonna get tired watching these guys play because
Yeah.
they could be running all day, and the fact that it's at
Yeah.
Alice Springs makes it even more fun. So that's
What
gonna be a
what
fun one.
what I worry about that one is Melbourne going to kick straight because we know
This is true.
GWS can move.
This is very
They
true.
can move it from one side to the other so fast. So if you don't make the most of your opportunities,
Yep.
assuming that you get them, then it could be a rough game. But
Yep. Lucky,
that's what I'll be
lucky,
watching for mostly.
Lucky Ash sometimes could be that he could be that key opener that could really open you up with his ability to run off halfback and his kicking
Yep.
is
Yep.
elite.
Yep.
I don't know if Lockie Whitfield will be back. I think he was a late out in this game, so he didn't even
Yeah, he was
play in this last one. So the question will be is what is his availability
for sure.
on that? And then let's end at Optus Stadium. Normally, normally I would sit here and go Essendon because they'll get the caretaker coach bounce, but I love the way West Coast is playing right now.
Yeah.
I think they kind of lost their groove after Sydney kind of smashed them after those couple of wins early in the season.
Yeah.
They're starting to find it again. Again, they're
Yeah.
another young sky. They're gonna bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. Perfect
Yeah.
time to get them, especially a weekend Essendon. No
Yeah.
Guelphy, no Durham,
Yeah.
no McGrath.
Yeah.
Absolute worst case scenario. And you have a caretaker coach.
Yeah.
That's a storm of ugliness. West Coast
Yeah.
Eagles for
It
me on
is.
this one.
I like West Coast too. I think that midfield is just not really strong enough. I think for West Coast, I think Harley could potentially have a very big game this game. But I wonder is Jordan Ridley coming back this game? I think he'll be
Yep.
he'll be very helpful if he is able to make it back. Not sure. And he can fuck around and get hurt. Excuse my language, but get hurt while playing because he's one of the most injury prone players that I've seen in AFL. I do tip West Coast this game. Matter of fact, I got a question. Isn't the midseason draft coming up? Is that before this matchup?
Mid-season
Right?
draft is actually
They
roughly
get
in about
tomorrow, right?
7 hours from as we speak.
Se-
It
Oh,
is
seven
tonight. It
hours.
is
So they
tonight. It's morning in Australia. It's tonight.
tonight. Okay,
Yep,
yeah.
yep. And
They got the number
the
one pick,
draft
so I'm
orders
interested to
already
see.
come out, and I'll be interested to see
Yeah,
if more spots open up with Cowan and Jamie Elliott going down, Will Collingwood and Carlton open up a
yeah,
spot for those two
yeah,
places
yeah,
to be able to fill. It'll be interesting to see how that
yeah.
happens. But yeah,
That's got the number one pick.
it is tonight,
Okay.
Australia
Yeah.
time for us. Like it is early in the morning for you and I,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
tonight for them. So yeah,
Okay.
it is less than 12. It is less than 7 hours from, I believe, when
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
talking right now. And it currently here, at least for Steez, it is 10:50 at night. It is 9:50 for me. And
Yep.
I think it's like 11 a.m. I can tell you it is almost 1 p.m. Um,
Okay.
Sydney and Melbourne time. So it's about 7 hours from now. So it is, this show will come out after the mid-season draft, which will be interesting to see how many picks come in, where do they
Yeah.
come
Yeah. Yeah.
from? Because I know there's a kid down in Tassie that's talked about being the number one overall. Fascinating to see Sandful and Waffle players. Do they get picked up, and how does that affect? I know my Sample and Waffle guys, this is always the time of the year that they love and they hate. They love because some of these kids get the opportunity to play AFL. They hate because sometimes really good teams in the state leagues get hit really hard
Yeah.
because
I can
some of their
imagine.
best players get drafted.
Yeah.
So it's always fascinating. But
Probably has a huge
uh,
impact.
yep, for absolutely for sure. So well, Steves, that is it. That is all of the games being played. As we said, four teams will put their feet up for this particular round. We've already mentioned them. And that is it. That is everything that I have. And I never like getting off the show when it comes to footy, talking about it is, I know, sir, how are things with the Grovetown Pirates? Are we still playing footy, and how are things going? Because I know that we talk footy when it comes to it. I know
Yep.
you're still doing stuff, live watches and the YouTube
Yeah.
video. So a little bit about what you're doing footy wise outside of our fun little chat today.
Yeah. So mostly focused on the YouTube right now. I haven't kicked the footy in just a little bit. Recruiting has been pretty hard over here. So I think we just need to have more of a collective effort to be able to like have more printouts and things like that. Just be more active on the internet. in the like the local groups around like on Facebook and stuff like that. So not really, excuse me, active right now, but looking to do so. Me and my coach are going out there on Sunday, well next Sunday for a kick, and we'll brainstorm some ideas um, on how to really reach athletes who might not have a place to go and play in play in their particular sport, or somebody who's trying to just look to have fun or even just stay in shape and might develop a love for the game in the future. Um, but yeah, I plan on going to nationals though, because I do the whole YouTube thing as well. So I would like to get a first nationals or experience this year by going down there and being able to film some of the games, maybe even play if I get a couple games under my belt and become eligible. Um, but yeah, that's really it for the most part. Mostly trying to spread the game through YouTube and kind of put my own little footy on the back burner for that, and looking to get back more involved with it now.
100%. I totally understand when it comes to it is a labor of love when it comes to doing just this for it. And
It
sometimes
is.
sometimes it takes away from the local one. I know I've had the same, but mine have been had a few personal issues. I've told a few people that some family issues that have popped up, and unfortunately I've had to step
Yep.
away from the Roosters as much as possible. But this is a great escape for me, is to
Yeah.
be able to sit here and to talk with Australians and Americans like yourself who love this game and love talking about it. So it's always great to catch up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I wanted to get you on. I miss your partner, the Dawn, too. I love having him on. You two
Yeah.
are absolutely fantastic. I know we always try to catch
Appreciate
up
it.
with each other on that. Is always so much fun to talk with fellow American loving footy players. So, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, that is going to do it. That is this particular episode. Again, keep track of it. As you know, I've got state league reviews to come up. We've had almost a month of play for all of them, so keep an eye out as I have a waffle review, hopefully very, very soon coming out. And then next
Okay.
week, both the VFL and Sandful shows will also be out just after the AFL round reviews, and a special AFL round review next week. I've got a couple of very fun. I will actually have two co-hosts next week, and I cannot wait to talk with these two. It is going to be so much fun.
What's up?
Tiny tease there. Won't tell you who they are because you will find out when the episode comes out. So that is going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals, and we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.